Good morning and welcome to Friday morning, the 25th of March today. And had to put the hoodie back on today. With such a swing in temperatures this time of year, but that's great. Spring is on the way. I know it's here officially, but for real, it's on the way. Today, we allowed Thomas Kempis to talk to us about purity and simplicity. These are spiritual disciplines, all of these things really that we're looking at, the imitation of Christ, being like Christ. And a lot of these things we don't pay much attention to anymore in our time. And I really feel the more of these we read, the more we're getting maybe a hint as to why our lives just always feel an upheaval and unsettled, and we never have a minute, for important things. Might be good to go back and to focus on these things first and allow other things to grow out of them. Purity and simplicity. By two wings, a man is lifted above earthly things. Simplicity and purity. Simplicity should mark our purpose. Purity, our affections. Simplicity looks toward God, and purity takes hold of Him and tastes Him. That's from that Psalm 34:8 passage. Taste and see that the Lord is good. If you are free from all inordinate love, no good action will be distasteful to you. If you intend and seek nothing but the will of God and the good of your neighbor, you will enjoy inner freedom thoroughly. If your heart were right, then every created thing would be as a living mirror to you and a holy book of doctrine. There is nothing created so small and contemptible that it does not show the goodness of God. If you were good and pure inwardly in your soul, you would be able to see and understand all things without impediment and understand them properly. A pure heart penetrates both heaven and hell. As a man is inwardly in his heart, so he judges outwardly. If there is any true joy in the world, surely a man of a pure heart possesses it. And if there is any tribulation and anguish, an evil conscience knows it best. As iron put in the fire loses its rust and becomes all red and glowing, so he who turns himself wholly to God puts off sluggishness and is transformed into a new man. When a man begins to grow lukewarm, then he fears a little labor and gladly receives outward comforts of the world and the flesh. But when he begins to overcome himself perfectly and to walk manfully in the way of God, then he lightly regards those things which before seemed so burdensome to him. Romans 1:20 is also cited in this devotion this morning. Purity and simplicity. You find a lot of people, it's a movement these days. They have their own Facebook site, I believe, because I see people post them from them. It's about living the simple life. Simplicity. Especially in Western culture, I think we've come to realize we've overwhelmed ourselves with all the choices of things we've chosen to add to our lives. We have no time to stop and take a deep breath. We have no margin in our lives. That was such an insightful book I read many years ago now, of how often, you read a book, You read a book, there's a margin out here. And what do you do with that margin? Well, there's room to add things, to make a note, to say amen to something you just read, or thought, oh, that makes me think of, or whatever the case may be. There's margin there. There's some room to put some more in. And that's how we need to live. Unfortunately, our margins aren't there. The printing runs right off the end of the pages of our lives. We don't have time to call our own. We don't have the time to sit and be still and know that God is God, to taste and see that the Lord is good, to be still in our hearts and minds and be in the Word. We lose that time. We fill it up with all kinds of things that really don't help us grow spiritually, really don't bring us peace spiritually. We have these long to-do lists of things we can't wait to get done or we need to get done, and other things kind of get pushed aside. Unfortunately, those often seem to be the things that we need the most for the health and well-being of our heart and souls. Simplicity, simplicity, and purity. Blessings to you today.